This is Devin White, linebacker for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You're listening to the LCC Network. Go Bucks.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Commissioner's Clubhouse and the LCC Network for our Waiver Wire Recap episode. We have powered through like a full week of nothing but free agent additions to teams in the offseason, which is our last big event before our actual draft that we have in late August. But yeah, we're going to dive into it tonight, and with me I've got Jordan, of course, and we've got Steve Maffali back on the show again, 2 weeks in a row, I believe now, if not 3. I don't know, my memory is terrible. But what's going on, you
Yeah, I'm
guys?
basically a regular now.
Yeah, you're just a regular.
Yeah.
He's got his frequent drinker card. He's part of the club.
Yeah, I got my holes punched and everything.
Yeah, his tag officially says co-host.
All right. But yeah, let's just dive into it. I'm going to start us off with our sound drop, and then we're going to hop into our waiver wire recap. Here we go. All right. This is going to be a good one because we have got 48 picks. We're going to talk about each pick for 5 minutes. Do the math. No, I'm just kidding. We're not going to do that. We are not going to go that in depth. We are going to run through them very quickly, list them all just because I didn't post all the waiver wire picks on Twitter. I am very sorry about the timeliness of all that, by the way, everyone. I just had so much going on with work, and I was actually out of town on the weekend too, so trying to do all that and focus on who I was going to get was a lot, but I still had fun doing it. So here we go. First pick that was done, if you want to call it a pick, it wasn't really a draft. It was, again, a waiver wire. So Chris Godwin went to the Spurs. Jalen Hurts went to myself. Myles Gaskin went to Slapdicks. CJ Mosley went to Primetime Players. Bernardrick McKinney went to Give Me More. George Kittle went to New Orleans Voodoo. Cooper Kupp went to Beg for G-Rag. The third leg, he struggled to figure out who he was getting. First put Austin Eckler, but he wasn't available. And so then he went with Tua Tagovailoa, and then we had Bradley Chubb go to Amusement Park. Then we had OBJ go to Detroit Bad Boys. T. Higgins to Jiu-Jitsu Jesus. Chase Edmonds to Mr. 300. Chandler Jones to Mufasa Moneymakers, who we got on the show right now. And we had Sam Darnold go to Eastside Brawlers. Taylor Rapp to Lebatard Lobos. Bud Dupree to Hunter of Champions. We had Debo Samuel go to Step Rose Fantasy Company. We had Leonard Fournette go to Hashling Slashers. Tyler Boyd went to Over the Pants Handjob. Raheem Mostert went to Steel Curtain. And was that it for the first round?
That may have been the first round.
No, I think the last pick of the first round went to
Burrow's body count. He was the last one to make a pick in that round.
Yeah, Burrow's body count. Yep, that's it. Because
Okay.
he traded with Daquan, who was
All
supposed to have it.
Let me keep rolling there. We got like 2 more picks or 1 more pick, and then we had James Conner. Raheem Mostert, Steel Curtain, Boston Moneymakers, Damian Harris, and then James Conner to Burrow's body count. That was the first round of the waivers. Anything you guys liked, didn't like, about some of the teams, like who they picked up in that first round of the waiver wire?
I'll let you lead it off, Steve.
Okay, I guess we'll just get the dislikes out of the way. We'll end with the likes. I guess for me at least. I guess my first dislike was probably Bernardrick McKinney to Give Me More. Just wasn't that high on him overall as a linebacker. I mean, I feel like there's so many linebackers that end up just like that end up hitting during the season, and he already has 3. I guess he just wanted to fill his linebacker slots because I see he has all 3 of his now, which is the max that we can roster. I really wasn't that high on him. I really thought he was going to go like the wide receiver route with somebody like Kupp or Kittle, who are still on the board, even OBJ. or like, there's a lot of great talent, even running backs. There's plenty of talented players out there. So I really wasn't huge on McKinney. And then I'd say my other least favorite pick was Debo Samuel to Step Bros Fantasy Co. Just because there were so many other good wide receivers on the board at that time, a lot who fell into the second round, but just wasn't huge on Debo Samuel. I mean, there's definitely a lot of potential there, but there's so many unanswered questions in San Fran. You don't even know who's going to start or who's going to be the true number 2 behind Kittle. Is it going to be Ayuk or is it going to be, Samuel? And, they're going to be a run-heavy team anyway, so I just don't see them being able to support 3 fantasy wide receivers in that offense. So, somebody's going to have to be the odd man out. So I wasn't a huge fan of that pick.
What about you, Jordan?
Yeah. I don't really have dislikes in the first round. I guess I'm being too nice to people. Nothing really jumped out the board and was like, oh, that was stupid. But I'd say the moves that I liked out of the first round is I really liked the first 2 quarterbacks that were taken, which was Jalen Hurts by yourself, Patrick, and Tua to Charles after struggling with the Austin Eckler thing. But I really like those guys. Not guaranteeing them to do anything. I just think they both have huge potential and the capability to pop off. And if they do, the fact that like both of you got them right there just adds so much value to this season and future seasons, really, with constructing the dynasty roster. But also a pick I liked in the first round was beg for G-Reg getting Cooper Kupp. I would have argued myself that I think, and I know the consensus is way off, but I would have argued that he's probably going to outproduce Chris Godwin this year. That's how highly I think of him with Matthew Stafford at the helm. But so I really like that snag for him needing a receiver. What about you, Pat?
Yeah, for me, there were some picks I definitely liked. I really loved the Bradley Chubb pick. Him falling that far was a little bit surprising. I did a mock waiver wire, but I honestly have already forgotten who had mock players to go to. I just did it kind of for fun in the last second. But honestly, like one of the steals in this first round, I still believe it, is Taylor Rapp going to Batard Lobos that late in the waiver wire. Like he's a potential top 12 defensive back, and he got him that like almost the back end of the first round of the waiver wire. So good for him. That was one that I really loved, and I had said that in our group chat over the weekend, I believe. The Benardrick McKinney one I do like, but I was a little more surprised than anything because you're right, Mafai. Jameson in his position where he could potentially draft a better linebacker in the first round, but I guess by doing this, he's saying, you know what, I'm probably not going to go linebacker. I'm going to go after something else. I was a little more surprised he didn't try to go after like Cooper Kupp with that pick, just because I know he is liking Matthew Stafford's situation, so I just feel like, I don't know. But he had told me leading up to it that he was thinking about McKinney, but I think he really wanted C.J. Mosley, who went the pick before then, to Daquan. And then
that was
also,
probably a gut punch.
one of the ones, like, and talk about necessity, like filling a spot and knowing this is your only opportunity to do it, is Slapdick's moving up in the waiver wire to get Myles Gaskin, knowing that he doesn't really have a good option in the draft because more than likely, as crazy as it sounds, Mike Davis is probably the 101, if that says anything. So there would be no running backs in that pick in the draft where he picks.
Yeah, I didn't even think about him moving up, but the fact that he needed a running back that bad, that was definitely a bold move to do so. So good job by Slapdick.
Yeah, technically, 3 of the first 4 picks all traded up, because you traded up technically, Pat, to get the second pick, and then Slapdick's traded up to get the third pick, and then Daquan traded up to get the 4th pick. So everybody eventually, ended up trading up for some really good players, like you said, like Hurts, the best quarterback, Myles Gaskin's the best running back, and then C.J. Mosley, the best linebacker, all on the board. If people, really wanted those guys, and they traded up to get them. So kudos to them.
Yeah. And I would say I did like the Chris Godwin pick, but I mean I had him as the best player anyway, so it's hard for me to sit here and say like I love that pick. I mean it just, if the best guy goes to number 1 pick, of course, you know what I mean. What more is there to say to that?
Yeah. Another pick I really like too for somebody, because we're talking about rosters who didn't have like any roster going into this, was Eddie. You know, and I like the pick of Jameis Winston because I feel like in his position, not having any players and rebuilding from scratch, you really do have to take some chances. You know, you're not just going to be able to play it safe. You know, unless you want to play the long game, but you got to take some chances, and it's really not even that big of a risk. You know, it's a second round waiver pick, and for a potential for a guy who could start in an offense that could make him flourish like the number 1 overall pick he once was. And a guy who definitely has the arm talent and, I guess maybe has the eyes now since he got LASIK. But, I think that's definitely a great potential pick for somebody who didn't have, like, any roster coming into this, so.
I think that was just – I don't even know if that move was announced yet. But
Oh, sorry. I thought we were just talking about everything. But, yeah, you're right.
Oh, no, you're good. I was just saying I just don't think the viewers have heard that name yet. So, but, yeah, I agree with you on it.
Yeah, well, I guess then on the flip side, the one that surprised me for him was Tyler Boyd. I was, because the same thing, no roster, and I thought he was going to go running back because there were some really good ones left at that time, like Mostert and Harris and even Connor. And I was like, oh man, like no running back. And like you said, maybe he has his eye on Mike Davis, who was like the one that we were talking about last week is like the one true running back really left in the draft. But I thought for sure he might go running back there, but kind of questionable. Tyler Boyd, I mean, definitely a good player, has played great in his career, but I feel like, 2 better receivers on that team for sure, and T. Higgins and now Jamar Chase. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think for him, maybe he thought more talent would fall in the waiver wire. And at that point, he was like, I don't even know who to get at this point. Like, because so many guys, you know what I mean?
No, it's tough as a rookie. It is. It's like, that rookie experience. Definitely.
And no players in your roster, like, where do you even start in that situation? Like, especially your first time in the league, you barely know the scoring system. Yeah, I think the Tyler Boyd pick was interesting because some people, I think, would argue Brandon Ayuk was a better receiver who was still available at that point.
And DJ Chark, who I liked a lot.
Yeah, I guess we'll talk. We can just go ahead and move on to the second round.
I gotta stop saying next round picks. I'm sorry,
you're
guys.
fine. You're fine. Let's see. Where did I leave off? Was it James Conner? That was another pick I actually kind of liked. James Conner really should have gone to over the pants and job. I feel like that would have been, a decent pick.
Yeah, well, the last the first round ended with the 3 running backs. The last 3 picks of the first round were all running backs. Went Mostert, Harris, and then Connor.
And the Mostert pick really surprised me because Cody has a top running back. So basically, by getting Mostert at that point, he's either saying like, I'm a little concerned about the health issues here at running back.
Well, he has 2 because he took ETN as well, so he has 2 running backs already. That's true.
I don't know. That was interesting because he definitely didn't need Mostert at all. I
asked him. He was telling me that. He was telling me that he just went best talent, and I understand, especially in probably maybe potentially looking to trade one of those running backs eventually in a league that's very running back desperate. It seems everybody really always, covets that running back position the most, which obviously is like the case in most fantasy leagues. But
yeah,
Cody might be doing that and just saw like a great talent like Mostert, which definitely has the upside, but also the injury risk. But just a guy who was like in terms of like ADP and drafts was probably the highest rated guy on the board for sure at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I think over the pants hand job that actually. Honest to God, like I think he's going to find himself either draft day, leading up to draft day, or right after draft day, trying to make a trade for running back. Probably someone Raheem Mostert-esque who's going to be a little bit cheaper. It's not going to cost as much to trade for, but who can still provide some sort of baseline points. Because otherwise, he's looking at rostering maybe RB26 as his starting running back.
Yeah,
actually, worse than that, probably like 30, honestly, because I think we now have over 24 running backs who are rostered in the league.
Yeah, I mean, he might just be thinking that, he takes hoping, fingers crossed that Mike Davis falls to him in the draft. But, with Dirty Mike also needing a back, it's definitely a questionable, it's not like a for sure, happen thing. So, well, he might have his fingers crossed because if he gets Mike Davis, he's definitely, I feel like, is going to be a solid starting running back. So at least he'll have that covered.
Yeah.
He might not have the depth, but at least you have your guy to start, which is really what's most important.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into the second round now. So I believe, was it Raheem Mostert? No, James Conner was the last pick.
No, Conner was the last pick of the Yeah, Connor was
Yeah.
the last pick of the first round.
So first pick in the second round, Jordan here, who's GM of the Afternoon Delights, got Brandon Ayuk. Then Hunter of Champions got Corey Littleton. Steel Curtain got Michael Pittman. Over the man's hand job, like we said, you got Jameis Winston. Hashling Slashers went and got Zach Moss. We had Dirty Mike and the boys get Ronnie Harrison. We had Step Bros Fantasy Company get Denzel Perryman. The third leg went and got Philip Lindsay. Lobotard Lobos got DJ Chark. Eastside Brawlers got Robbie Anderson. Burroughs Body Count got Will Fuller. Mr. 300 got Logan Wilson later on. But Jiu-Jitsu Jesus got Marquise Brown. Afternoon Delights got Chris Barnes. We had Detroit Bad Boys get Cameron Hayward. We had Beeson Park get Kyle Duggar. We had Slapdicks get Chris Jones, but it tried his best to get Sam Hubbard. We had New Orleans Voodoo get Jonathan Allen. No, sorry, he changed that. He got
Sam Hubbard.
Sam Hubbard.
He's the one.
He's the one that got Sam Hubbard. Sorry about that. Then we had Give Me More get Amani Hooker at safety. We had New Orleans Voodoo. Oh wait, I already said that. Robot Clubcons and myself get Cortland Sutton. Beg for G-Rag get Grady Jarrett. Abusement Park got Kyle Duggar, and then Slapdicks got Chris Jones. I already said those last two.
Primetime players.
Yeah.
Is the last one. Daquan.
Oh, did I skip? Oh, yeah, sorry. There's a whole second page here that I missed. Primetime players with the last pick is, I guess... Oh, the Mr. 300 got Logan Wilson. Primetime players got Jarvis Landry.
Yeah, it just looks a little wonky at the end because a handful of teams missed their deadline, and the rules stated in the waiver draft where you were skipped till the end of the round, so they were all allowed to go back and repick. So that's why it looked a little whacked up on the draft.
Yep. But let's go ahead and dive into that, guys. Like, what are some picks there in that second round that you liked?
Well, I guess I kind of jumped the gun on mine, obviously, but it was like definitely Jameis Winston was one of mine that I really liked for sure. You know, I thought that was, like I said, just a great pick. And then the other one would definitely, I jumped the gun on both. DJ Chark, you know, I thought that was, in my opinion, after, you know, Cup and maybe, you know, Cup, OBJ, and Godwin, I thought that Chark was like the fourth best wide receiver on the board. Just a guy, young guy, a lot of potential, and like, you know, has a guy who's going to be slinging the ball this year. So, and somebody I hope obviously will sling the ball this year and throw some touchdowns as he's my quarterback. But, you know, Trevor Lawrence is going to be looking for somebody to build that chemistry with, and it could definitely be DJ Chark. They're both young guys, and Chark is a really talented guy. So, you know, I think that in the second round, that's a receiver who could easily be in the top 25, but maybe even sneak into that top like 15 range, you know. So definitely like that pick a lot in the second round of the waivers. How about you, Jordan?
Yeah, I didn't. This is a little different one. On the first round, I really pretty much liked everybody's, and this one's a little different. Nobody really like jumps out. We mentioned Jameis. I like that, I guess, because it's a second round quarterback, like we already talked about. Of course, Chark. But with my dislikes, I didn't really like Jiu-Jitsu Jesus, which is Matt, going and getting Marquise Brown. He already snagged T. Higgins in the first round of the waiver draft, and I can't remember, but he may have kept a receiver too.
I think he did.
So I just felt like it was a little wasteful. I think it was a situation where he didn't know many names or care about many names that were left, so he just rode with somebody that he knew. But as a whole, I'm not a fan of the Ravens' passing or receiving situation. I think Sammy Watkins would be the number one there anyways. So, yeah, I didn't like that from him. But I like Voodoo picking up Sam Hubbard after Slapdicks failed. And so, yeah, those are the ones I liked there.
Yeah.
And Matt did not keep a wide receiver. I just looked, by the way.
Oh, he didn't?
But he still has the two. Yeah, he has the T. Higgins and Godwin. So
that's crazy. Yeah, I mean, for me, I was looking back, by the way, at my mock waiver wire, and some of it I was like perfect on, but some of it I whiffed, and it was part of it because of people moving around and trading and stuff. But one guy that I had going in the first round and fell to the second round, or two players that I thought were great pickups, honestly. Brandon Ayuk, Jordan, you getting him. I did not anticipate him falling that far, like the beginning of the second round. I had him going like upper part of our waiver wire, honestly, going to Matt. I knew Matt was going to go receiver, but I just didn't think he would pass on Brandon Ayuk. That was interesting to me. And the other one was DJ Chark. I thought DJ Chark would actually go in the later part of the first round. He goes kind of in the middle part of the second round of the waiver wire. So that was interesting to me, too, that both of those guys fell that far. And honestly, maybe I'll start with my dislike, honestly. And it's the fact that Jordan Brooks did not get picked up in the waiver wire. That was really shocking to me because he's a potential, I mean, like the role he's filling there in Seattle, I mean, he honestly could end up being the back end of a top 24 linebacker, maybe top 30 as a worst case scenario. I thought for sure he was going to go in the first round, later part of the first round, mind you, but I would never imagine him not getting picked at all. So that was interesting to me.
I actually considered him heavily where I took Chris Barnes, and I rode with Barnes instead.
And that was my other like. Jordan was honestly the Chris Barnes. Obviously, I'm the one who hyped him up in our waiver wire podcast a couple weeks ago. So, yeah, I love the Chris Barnes pick, man. I was wondering, like, at that point, is he going to get picked up? Like, it's kind of late now. Like, he's still there.
Just from my perspective of it, I mean, I'll be honest and say Chris Barnes wasn't even on my radar till that podcast a couple weeks ago. And then I started reading on him. But and same thing with Brandon Ayuk. I had zero intention of taking wide receiver in this. And then he just kept falling and falling. And
yeah. I mean, even with George Kittle there, dude, like, who's going to get a lot of targets? Someone's going to be the number one receiver, right? I mean, is it Ayuk? I mean, some people, some homers here, they're Gamecock fans, might say Deebo Samuel is, but I think probably Ayuk is going to be the number one guy, honestly.
Yeah, I would think so as well. And, Matt definitely had as a rookie, he had a tough waiver draft with that, and I did not like the Denzel Perryman pick at all. I feel like that's just him not really knowing IDP. And he just, he's a Panthers fan, so he just went with, like, a linebacker he knew from the Panthers, basically. It looks like, but we'll see. Obviously,
here still.
Obviously, like Jordan Brooks was the guy that I thought he was going to go him or Barnes because I kept telling him just utilize the list Pat made. He's really honest about that stuff. He really does try to help people. I was like, just utilize it, man. And I guess he just has the trust issues. He said he just wanted to make his own pick, and he said I'm just going to go with the guy I know, Denzel Perryman. So, looks like we lost Jordan.
Oh.
But he hopefully can get back in. But
yeah, he'll probably hop back in. I guess we can keep going.
But sorry, that threw me off. But yeah, so I was, I definitely Matt with some rookie mistakes there. Obviously, like both of his picks are highly questionable. Jordan just texted me actually, but both of his picks are highly questionable, and the Perryman pick was just like totally out of left field to me, just because I don't even know what he's you know more than me because you're a Panthers fan, but I don't know what his expectations really are there in Carolina.
It's not that high to where you're like, yeah, I want that guy's my number one linebacker. But I mean, I kind of get it. Like, fantasy football isn't truly fun unless you're a little bit of a homer, because that makes it more fun when you're watching your favorite team, right? Let's say you're a Patriots, or you are a Patriots fan, honestly.
Yeah.
So, like, obviously, you getting a Patriot player makes it that much more fun watching a Patriot game.
Oh, for sure. I was ecstatic to get Damian Harris. I mean, I've also read a lot about that. We're really going to trust him as the number one back this year, and I think he can have a Sony Michel type year from like 2-3 years ago. But I was ecstatic just to get a Patriots player, and especially a running back, which I needed, late either in the first round. So I was like really happy about that, just because obviously it's a homer pick. So
can you guys hear me?
Got you back, Jordan. Nice.
Oh, welcome back.
Okay, yeah, just I guess my internet cut out. Sorry about that.
We were talking about the Denzel Perryman pick, Jordan.
Oh yeah, I don't know about that. Definitely a homer pick. I hope it pays off for him, just because I'm in the same boat with him. But I like other linebackers on that roster over him, so I just don't know how much everyone's going to be able to eat at the same time.
Exactly.
There was some great value at the end of the second round, and Jordan can tell you I tried my hardest to trade with Daquan to get to the back end of that second round because I was either going to take Josh Allen, the D end, who I think still has a lot of potential. People kind of forgot about him just because he had a down year last year, but yeah. I also like Brooks a lot too. So, both of them, I was like trying really hard with Daquan to trade back, and I just couldn't get it done. But I saw there was a lot of value there, and I was willing to deal Chandler Jones to him, but we just couldn't figure anything out. But there was a lot of great talent at the back end of that second round, just because a lot of people did make some questionable picks. But hey, maybe they'll maybe they'll end up hitting and they'll look like geniuses.
Yeah, and I don't want us to sound like total douches either. Like, obviously, it's our offseason waiver wire where you can only get players ranked 250 or worse. So all of these, right? I mean, it's a shot in the dark. Either the guy you got blew out his knee last year, or he was, arrested for drug dealing, or like, he sucked. Like, one of the three happened. So obviously, like, none of these guys anyone feels 100% about. Trust me, I got Jalen Hurts as my QB1. Most people would be sweating bullets right now if they said that out loud. But in our league where you can only roster one quarterback, I was like, you know what, screw it. I don't pick to the 5th round. It's either I get Jalen Hurts or get my receiver 1. And I was like, I'm going Jalen Hurts. I'm going to try to get a receiver in the 5th. Although I was able to get Cortland Sutton in the 2nd, I was like, perfect. Like, I was like so happy that I was able to at least get Cortland Sutton in the 2nd. I didn't think he was going to fall that far.
Yeah, potentially number 1 wide receiver. I mean, it'll be between him and Judy, but he still has the track record that Judy hasn't really shown in the NFL yet. But
yeah, and honestly, it takes a good 3 to 4 years for like an NFL receiver to peak. You know what I mean? So like Cortland Sutton's at that mark now, so it's do or die for him. So I was like, you know what?
Yeah,
let me get Sutton.
I guess unless Justin Jefferson.
Yeah,
he's a stud, but
exactly. But it was fun. I love the offseason waiver wire, and I know some people would rather it go like just in a day or a weekend, but I like it dragging out in a weird way because like it gives me something to do for like a full week or two as just fantasy football related, like, because we got nothing after this. We got like a whole month and a half before we do anything again. So if anything, I'd love to make this even longer, but I know I would be the extreme minority of that for sure.
I think we can stick with making it like a week-long thing. I just think more people want more, I don't know what to say, but like more
clarity on the times they pick it.
Yeah, more strict time restraints. Like
and I feel like I understand your guys' like I understood it where like if you feel like the person in front of you it's been late and they haven't picked, just post multiple picks, but I think the only time I care about that is in the 1st round because, like, I'd feel questionable about posting a second guy because what if you're hoping he falls to you in the 2nd? You could throw him right on somebody's radar just by posting him. So, maybe and it wouldn't happen if we had everybody active, obviously, but really our only hiccups were with, Michael and Dirty Mike just because they so happened to – and luckily it was in the 2nd round, but they so happened to lead off the 2nd round, 2 groups in the 2nd round. Dirty Mike led off the 2nd round, and then Michael led off that next group in the 2nd round. So it just kind of – everybody waiting on them. At least like in the first group with Dirty Mike, we had like veterans like Jordan and Hunter and like guys like that all picking in that round. So they all knew what to do. But then that next one is when you had some newer guys who were just like, what do I do here? What's going on? And it did get a little hectic there for a while.
Yeah. I think honestly, probably the best fix to this is people may not like this, but would honestly to make it to where each group of people that's up is actually reduced from 6 to maybe 3 to 4. And by doing it that way, it's going to last longer. It's going to last a couple of days longer, the waiver wire period, which I'm a fan of personally. But some people don't like that. So, but at the same time, it's, there's less likely where you're having to wait around because it's only 3 or 4 guys that's up and you got 24 hours to make your pick. You can jump on their butt and be like, "Hey, dude, get your damn pick in. I'm waiting here." But at the same time, I don't just wait either. Obviously, like I'd mentioned before this started, like
and then there's the few that will like purposefully wait.
Yeah, I mean, honestly,
knowing they're the last pick of the round.
My plan was because I knew I was going into town. I was like, if I got to a situation, I was like, all right, I'm not gonna be able to check this the last 4 hours of the day. I'm just gonna list 3 players, and if I get them, I get them. If I don't, I don't. Because I'm not one of those people like, well, if I show a list, then that's going to give someone an idea of who to get. I'm like, no, dude. trust me, like that's not going to impact their decision making. Like if you do influence their decision making, you're a damn fantasy god. They respect you that much, so good for you. That's the way I
Never
look at
know
it.
some people.
So I don't know, but I think that's a good idea for next year. Is like I said, if you broke it up instead of 6 to 4, I want to say without really doing the math, I think it would last 2 to 4 extra days. So basically 2.5 weeks. I want to say maybe. But again, I'm cool with that. If other people like that, let us know in the comments or chat us in the group chat what you guys think about that. But that's. Did you guys have anything else you wanted to say about the offseason waiver wire before we log off?
No, I think we did a fine job on this Tuesday. Besides my disconnection.
Yeah, I'm trying. Next week, this is the interesting part of the offseason. Again, we don't have a lot going on within our league, but from a podcast standpoint, I think we're starting to get into the territory where we can start doing mock drafts and doing like rankings and stuff, and really getting into that kind of interesting stuff into fantasy football, and I think that'd be a lot of fun. Let us know what you guys would you rather see first, like a rankings episode or maybe like a mock draft episode. Maybe even honestly a recap of the entire offseason in the sense of where we rank teams of who do we like in each division, who's the division leader right now going into the draft, and that might be honestly the most fun.
Yeah, that can be a cool topic.
Yeah, I feel like that'd be a great topic to start off with, just before we get into all the draft stuff, maybe just like a recap of where everybody's at pre-draft, and then we get into everything, about the draft and stuff.
Maybe we break it up because like what do we have? How many weeks do we have until draft Saturday? Anyone got a calendar pulled up?
I don't, but I would say at least.
So we've got this Saturday, next. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
About 5.5 weeks or so, 6.
7 Saturdays, including this Saturday of the 17th of July. We've got 8 divisions. We could do a cool thing, and sure, of course, we could just talk about our favorites from each division. But if we wanted to break it up even more, we could do it to where it's like we do a division a week, and we dive a little bit deeper into those 4 teams in that division. And we don't have to dedicate the entire episode. That could be like half the episode, and then the other half, maybe we do like a quick 1-round mock draft or something else each week. I think that'd make it. We could dive deeper into every team instead of, 2 minutes.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind breaking down divisions.
Yeah, I think that'd be a great idea. Give us you still have, like you said, there's still at least 5 or 6 more like podcasts you could do between then. So, you can maybe save at least 1 or 2 for like a mock draft or rankings, but the rest could be dedicated towards just maybe doing like a division or 2 each day. Because what do we have? 8 divisions in the league?
Yeah, 8 divisions.
So yeah maybe just like doing 2 each week for 4 weeks or something like that, and then maybe hop into like the last 2 weeks, hop into rankings and mock drafts. Yeah,
that sounds like a plan to me. Let's do it. All
right,
right,
that's
like
I think
you guys are ready to hear it all.
We've got the next 2 months planned out, guys. We're pumped.
Yeah, hopefully, people will definitely be ready to listen for when their divisions come up, because hopefully, people use this, especially the rookies, as like a starting point to maybe get an idea for their drafts, just to really get an understanding of how this all works.
Listen to the sound of my voice, but hear him.
Yeah, no, when I first joined this league, I definitely listened to the podcast to help me just like you get a better sense of IDP and what people valued, like, defensive players as, and, how high to get them and stuff. Like, I'll never forget my first ever pick in IDP in these leagues was Landon Collins. I went with a safety. So
that was actually
I'll always remember that. Yeah, it was. I've always had a good bond with Landon Collins now ever since he was my first ever pick in this league. And because it was IDP, I was like super excited that my first pick was a defensive player. So,
yeah, it's fun. There's a lot of IDP leagues out there who don't reward defensive players as much, and it's still very offensive heavy. But in my opinion, if you're doing IDP, you got to make them just as valuable or even more valuable than offensive players. Otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's great the way it's set up. Yeah. I mean, obviously, defensive players maybe score a little bit more other than quarterbacks, but there's just so many good ones that score that it still evens out their overall value, in terms of how much you value position. So, I think it's a great setup. I enjoy it a lot. So
Well,
Yeah.
we will catch you guys next week. I guess we're gonna dive into our first rankings episode of teams in the league, and I'm also gonna honestly, this gives me an idea. I'm gonna post a Twitter poll too to have total strangers rank teams and divisions to see how that turns out. I think that'd be a
there
blast.
you go.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys next week. Everyone have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you after the weekend. I don't know. That seems very obvious, but we'll see you guys later.
See you next week.
Later.
All right. See ya.